Okay, I'm setting up for today's video and story, and I saw it. I clearly saw it, but it's hiding behind a tree. But I'm gonna lure it in with the story. You're gonna have to watch. Let me see, where is it? Right there. See it? Watch. It'll come in closer as I read the story, but I can't look. You have to be the one to get my 6. Get my 6! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the most amazing homesteading channel on planet Earth that typically doesn't have anything whatsoever to do with homesteading off the grid. Today's video has to do with the 50 gazillion gnats that are flying in front of my face right now. Not really. But I will be wearing my old man glasses today because this will protect my eyes from aforementioned gnats. All right, so what we captured on film here just at the beginning of the video, before the video even started, was not supposed to be part of this project. I'm bringing to you a viewer-submitted true Bigfoot Sasquatch story from the beautiful state of Washington. I used to live out there. It is beautiful out there. It just rains too much for me. So came back to Virginia, where we desperately need some rain at this time. But anyway, we got that one on film. So while I'm reading this story to you, get my 6. That means look behind me. Watch for him, her, it, or they. And I do have protection. After some recent events, I definitely am not coming out here into these woods alone. Got to protect myself from him, her, it, or they. And I may or may not be talking about the him, her, it, or they that may potentially or may not live in the woods behind my house if you're picking up what I'm laying down. I'll tell you, it's crazy. People are celebrating the tragedy of September the 10th of, well, it was a week ago from today, if you're watching this recording. Did you see that? There went another one. All right, I'm going to make one statement about that terrible tragedy of last Friday, because this is dumbfounding. And I told my wife I would post this on our Facebook page, but I'm sure we would get shut down. You think back on what happened just a week ago. Charlie Kirk, he was assassinated by a lunatic, okay? And I wrote a book years ago called The Lunatic, which showed the dark side of the woke movement, exactly what was going to happen. I predicted all this stuff in that book, The Lunatic. It's by me, Kevin Lake. It's available in print or Kindle on Amazon. It's also available with an autograph in print from our Etsy store. The links to both of those places are in the description box below. Saw this coming. When you separate reality from, when you put feelings as being more important than facts, and you have such an entitlement mentality that you believe anybody who disagrees with you is worthy of the worst possible thing you could happen having done to them, that presents a clear and present danger, and we've seen it so many times. So anyway, here's what I was going to post on Facebook, but I won't, because the next time Mark Zuckerberg gets a hair up his butt, he'd take our accounts away again. It happens every other year or so. There are people celebrating this tragic event. Celebrating. Okay, you're reading online, a lot of public school teachers who, a lot of them are left of center, a lot of them are just... Well, the him, her, it, or they in my woods just tree knocked very loudly. They want me to get on with the story, and I'm getting to it. Just hold on. Let me mention the other he, her, it, or they for a minute. But they're celebrating this thing, and a lot of these public school teachers are actually part of the woke movement. That's why we pulled our kid out of public school for a couple of years until actual laws were put in place to protect our children from this nonsense in the public school system. Now he's back, so he wants to play football. They're celebrating it, and many of them are losing their jobs because of this, and they can't figure out why. So I said to my beautiful bride, Dearly, aka Giggly Girl, can you imagine? You remember the tragic events of September 11th, 2001, when they knocked down our Twin Towers? You remember how there were vile, disgusting creatures celebrating those tragic events the next day and for weeks after, people around the world who had so much hatred in their heart, they were celebrating that tragedy. How are those vile creatures any different than the vile creatures who were celebrating Charlie Kirk having been murdered because of his views in the country where we're supposed to have freedom of our views and freedom of our speech? They're celebrating this tragedy, a beautiful young wife and 2 darling children left without a husband and a father. And they're celebrating it, and they can't understand why they're losing their jobs as public school teachers or talking heads on television. But what gets me is, how are these people who are celebrating that tragedy any different than those who celebrated the tragedy of September 11, 2001? Hatred has consumed their hearts to such a degree, it is terrifying. I'm glad you got my 6. I got my 6 as well. All right, now with that rant over, let me get to the story, okay? This comes to us from Stephanie in Washington State. Stephanie and her boyfriend Nate had a wonderful camping trip planned out, and they took this camping trip, had to go back a couple times because of, had a hard time finding, I'm going to get to the details here in a second, had a hard time finding the best spot to go to. Everything was ideal until it was interrupted by Bigfoot Sasquatch. So I put together a little slideshow here for you of some pictures that Stephanie sent me. Stephanie has given me permission to use her name and Nate's name and show the pictures. So here's a little narration of my probably sucky slideshow because I'm terrible with editing stuff. I'm old, I'm Gen X. Man, look at all these gnats. I'm glad I put these glasses on. So the first picture is of Stephanie and Nate. The next picture is of a beautiful brown trout, one of them caught. And then the third one is their unexpected visitor that interrupted their camping trip. Take a look. So how about that? Now, let's get to the facts, Jack. Hey, Crazy Lake. You may use our names. My name is Stephanie, and my significant other is Nate. I live in southern Washington State near Mount St. Helens, Mount Adams, Mount Rainier, the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest, and Highway 12, and I have for about 43 of my 47 years. I was stationed at Fort Lewis, Stephanie. I used to see Mount Rainier every morning. The Gifford, specifically the Cispus, Mount Adams, and Goat Rock wilderness areas are my favorite places to be. I love the rain. My partner does not. I couldn't stand it. He had not been out in the forest camping and such, the way I do multiple times a year if I can, for a long time, so I arranged a camping trip, making sure all of his creature comforts would be fulfilled. He has been blessed with all of his senses, including the sixth sense. Anyway, the weather was perfect. I had 5 or 6 days set aside and we headed out. However, we could only find one eerie spot I had never stayed at before. I had camped in the area within a mile several times, just not at this particular spot. It was I'm hearing footsteps, folks. Keep watching. We've heard knocks. We've seen some strange, dark figures moving through the forest already. Keep watching. Get my 6. This is pretty creepy being up here right now. I hope you folks appreciate what I do for you all folks, people. All right. It was a beautiful open glen with a small creek running by, but there was a sign, and keep in mind we were 35 miles away from any major roads or cell towers, literally on the border of officially designated Mount Adams Wilderness. And the sign said this area was being monitored by video surveillance by the U.S. Forest Service due to illegal activities in the area. It was perfect, but for Big Brother, so we decided to leave, and I named the spot 1984. That's an apropos name, Stephanie. Now, keep in mind about these surveillance cameras, because I read her story, I first thought, oh, maybe somebody's out there growing dope. But I think it's been legal, and well, I don't know if it was legal there or not at the time. But could the U.S. Department of Forestry know something about what may or may not be out there that most folks don't? And that's why they're doing the surveillance. Keep that in the back of your mind. As Hercule Poirot, the great detective from the Agatha Christie novels, would say, store that in your little gray matter, the gray matter up here, okay? On the exit of the site, and I was driving, I glimpsed something tall, humanoid shaped, in red and orange, and my peripheral vision halfway behind a fir tree. I stopped dead in my tracks and took a second look, but we were at the turn, so it wasn't unusual to stop and look. I looked around the tree for any signs of something that color, like maybe a taller, rotten, bug-ridden stump. Those can look a similar color, but I saw nothing that resembled what I had seen. I said nothing to Nate. About 5 miles down the road, Nate blurted, "I saw Bigfoot." My first response was to ask if he was red, and Nate was shocked in disbelief because he wasn't sure he believed his own eyes until that moment when I told him I saw something too, but didn't get a good look. Well, I'm hearing footsteps, folks. You keep watching for movement back there. Well, he described it as the same color as a rotten, bug-ridden stump, red and orange. He said the Sasquatch was in the glen, standing in the open in full view and stared at him, making direct eye contact, and then it turned and walked away into the wilderness. Well, we looked at a few more spots and gave up and went home. I was so upset about all the people and the video surveillance, and I aggravated my chronic shoulder injury to boot. I was in tears and thought I wouldn't have an opportunity to make it back to camp at all this year due to prior planned engagements that were non-negotiable. Well, in a stroke of fate, a couple days later, my following week-long commitment was canceled, and I was happy to plan another trip out and prayed the weather held. Again, Nate hates the rain, and I wanted to swim with my dogs, Freya and Fern. I waited and planned patiently for the week to pass before I could venture back out, and it did. The weather held, and we found a perfect private campground by a lake with only 3 camping spots, and we had the best one. We were the only ones there for days, and it was perfect serendipity. The second day there, Nate was leaving the fishing spot about a quarter of a mile from camp, and at the junction to the main trail, he had a second experience with the same being. He heard heavy breathing and tree knocking, and looked to see an Anatoly/Sasquatch. From my understanding, they call themselves Anatoly and find the term Bigfoot offensive. That's why I use Bigfoot Sasquatch. I mean, him, her, it, or they basically find everything offensive. You'd go out of your way to try to not offend them, and then now I'm finding out they're still offended? Gosh, should I start saying Bigfoot Sasquatch Anatoly? Man. I'm not coming out here, man. People get butthurt over terminology, dude. We know how they can get, these lunatics. You got to read that book, The Lunatic. It was the best-selling book on Etsy the year of its publication a couple years ago. Did very well on Amazon, but I didn't promote it through Amazon's channels, so whatever. Still did great. I think it's the best book I ever wrote, and I've written a lot of books, and they're all good. This one's the best. Just if you read it, beware. It's full of adult language, adult situations. I thought I saw movement over here in front of me. But hey, I predicted all these tragedies that's going on, man. The dark side of woke. So it's in there. It's called The Lunatic. Read it. All right. So we saw this Anatoly. The Anatoly pushed the branches of tree tops and the shrubbery trees down and peered at Nate, making direct eye contact. Nate dropped everything he was carrying and pulled out his broken phone. He took 2 pictures right as the Anatoly was saluting him with his left hand. And she told me in a follow-up communication that the Anatoly/Bigfoot Sasquatch may not have been saluting. Of course, might have just been looked like that because it was holding the brush down, you know. Nate said it headed off swiftly in a southern direction toward Mount Adams. He said it was about 7 feet tall with bright red and orange hair, and a tuft of hair stood up on top of his head like a troll doll, making him resemble a cone head. He said it had black eyes and made eye contact with him as it saluted him and then whisked away very quickly. Believe it or not, this was his second sighting in 2 weeks of the same Anatoly, and I saw a glimpse of it the first time. Take it as you will. Pretty incredible in my opinion. We have to go back out soon and look around some more before winter. The forest is my favorite place to be. Mine too. It's just creepy sometimes. I walked by the area several times before and after Nate had, but I had no encounter myself this time. The whole trip, neither of us felt threatened or scared. We want to meet them and make a friendship of sorts. Also, Nate did not say the being had any type of smell, and he has a sensitive nose just like the rest of his senses, sharp. I have included his photos in one that I made with AI, which I did not include in this. That picture of that head of this thing through the brush, that's not... Her AI picture was like a cartoon character type thing. It was really nice. She did a good job with that. But I didn't want to put it in here because I know how the vertically challenged individuals who live under bridges would claim the other pictures were AI generated too. They want proof, then you give it to them, and then that's just not good enough. Those people. All right. All right. Also, Nate did not say the bean had any type of smell, blah, blah, blah. I've included the photos. We are working on our own YouTube channel and a website, newstravels.org. But he is a creator and he's been very ill, having had a botched gallbladder surgery a couple of years ago. I've had 3 surgeries in the last 12 months due to work-related injuries, but we are making our way towards our goals together. I'm on the road to recovery, but he has more testing to endure before we know if they can even relieve some of his pain. Nate is absolutely the most kind, caring, and considerate partner, and I'm so glad to have met him a couple of years ago. I have attached some photos for you, but we also plan on using this story in photos. If you do use it in your book, just denote our YouTube and website for source citing. Thank you. Take care, Steph. Again, their site is newstravels.org. I asked specifically for the YouTube channel, and it's newstravels.let's go. That's what it is. I went to the channel, and there's no content there yet. So Stephanie and Nate, please upload some content because I'm trying to send some folks your way. Folks, I want to make sure they get 100% credit for this. This is their story, their images. Stephanie just gave me her permission to use them here for the channel. And Stephanie, your story did make it into Bigfoot Sasquatch Files Volume 16. Hope to have that out. It's probably going to come out the first part of October. I would like to have it out before October, but I'll tell you, I thought I would, man, I've got so much more time to do things now because my beautiful bride Dearly, aka Giggly Girl, is driving, so I don't have to drive everywhere. Son is back in school, so I'm not, limited because he's homeschooled. But it's amazing. I didn't realize how unproductive I've been over the last several years, because I was like in charge of doing all this stuff for the family. This is the first time I think I've ever been able to actively work our Facebook accounts, our YouTube channels, our Amazon affiliate marketing, the other corporate sponsors we deal with, the commercials I make for them. You've probably seen them all over the internet. I'm writing again, which I have not done in years. I love it. And on top of all this, the best part is I'm spending more quality time with my wife. We're having dates almost daily. We're going out and exercising every morning, sometimes just out on an old country road. Sometimes we'll go into town and go to a gym and then follow that up with lunch and maybe a walk around campus or a walk around town. It's beautiful. It's like, I love it. But yeah, I've been wondering, how did I ever get anything done over the last few years with all in coaching, 40 to 50 hours a week on top of that, volunteer as it was. Still, it was a time commitment. So anyway, listen, if you have a Bigfoot Sasquatch story that you would like me to share with the folks here on YouTube and or in the upcoming Bigfoot Sasquatch Files series, you can email it to me here at the channel. The email address is crazylake@mail.com. You must give me your permission to use your story or I won't. If you want to remain anonymous, let me know and I'll keep you anonymous. Bigfoot Sasquatch Files Volumes 1 through 15 are available on Amazon in print and or Kindle. You can get Anthology 1, which is Volumes 1 through 10 on Amazon as well, or through our Etsy store with an autograph for I think half the price of what it is on Amazon. So that's it for today, folks. If you saw anything in the background, please, timestamp it so others can see it. And I will not apologize for my rant of recent tragedies and how vile I think the people who are celebrating it are. What gets me is how many of these folks whose hearts are so filled with hatred that they would celebrate such a tragedy have signs in their yard that say hate has no home here. Well, clearly it does. So either stop hating or get rid of the signs, you hypocrites. All right, Stephanie, thank you for your story. See y'all for more next time. See ya.